I love being in Madison Heights. I think this is a wonderful community, and I use the word community a lot because that's what I believe in. There's some wonderful parks here with a lot of wonderful trees and grass. There are some wonderful people here. Let me digress for just a moment. This past weekend, Friday night, some of you made it to the movie Remember the Titans. We had a good time. Met a young lady, Miss Brunk. Can't think of her first name right now. Had a delightful conversation afterwards. And this is a weekend that I also met a couple of folks from the state of Minnesota, which doesn't seem, I guess, out of the ordinary, but to meet two people, two different locations from the state of Minnesota, both veterans, both talking about they love the Lord. And I was invited to a cookout yesterday and sat at a table with someone extremely funny with some jokes I would love to share from the pulpit, but I won't at this time. But you start talking, we're talking about things and it's just how things tie together in community. It talks about community, just sitting around eating hamburgers and hot dogs and swatting out gnats. How much we have alike and how much we have in common, how much we are physically tied to each other. I got to thinking, here's all the things that we have together, we have in common. And we weren't talking about having material things. We weren't talking about having nice cars and nice homes. We were just talking about simple, everyday things. Growing up in Minnesota, growing up in Detroit, growing up, I think one person was from Iowa. Met a pilot who talked about flying into Marshall, Michigan, going to Win Schulers. If you've ever been to Marshall, Michigan, please go to Win Schulers. It is umpskitty-umptious. Their food is absolutely delicious. But I digress. I don't want to get into food because, I like food, and I did have breakfast, and I don't want to get a little hungry. But it got me thinking about community and what we have and what we have and what we share and what we don't share. And there's a friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and let's say his name is Larry. Larry has lived for about 20 years without a home. He chose his homelessness because he wanted to be his lifestyle. I'm not saying that homelessness is always a lifestyle choice, but for Larry, he chose homelessness, and it's not always caused by an adverse conditions. Larry would tell anyone who asked that homelessness for him didn't start as a choice. But once he was homeless, he realized that he was freer than he had ever been in his life. He didn't have many bills. He didn't have to worry about buying groceries. He didn't have responsibility for taxes. He didn't have responsibility for utilities. He didn't have to worry about buying groceries because he didn't have a place to put his groceries. But hearing all this, I started wondering as I talked to him. And I met Larry in Nashville, and Larry was homeless. He calls himself homeless. I said, "No, Larry, you're displaced." He said, "No, I don't want to have those kind of responsibilities because I really found what I need, I already have." He said, "I have this in community." And I said, "Please sit down and tell me." Larry was among those that are the homeless or displaced folks in downtown Nashville. If you've been to Nashville, Nashville's a very beautiful place. A lot of parks downtown, and he stays in the parks. He said, "But I stay in a community of homeless men and women because there we're freer to be who we are." He said, "We're not as judgmental of each other as the people are in the world." And I said, "You mean to tell me?" He said, "We come down to the homeless village that we have under the bridge." And I said, "Under the bridge?" If you can imagine downtown, there's a stadium right there on the river, Titan Stadium. There's a beautiful downtown. But less than a quarter mile from that there's a homeless encampment of tents under a bridge. My brothers and sisters, y'all have known me for about a year. I'm not a shy person. So I'll sit down and talk to anybody. Mary and Lou. I'll sit down and have a conversation and share a peanut butter jelly sandwich with anybody. What they had were cans of Vienna sausages and homemade peanut butter jelly sandwiches. And we sat and we ate and we talked, and they said, this is what we have in community. We share. If this person doesn't have something, I'll share this with them.